I have some very important updates with you that might be of some help to you. So number one on the list is obviously the January 15th deadline. So we have two deadlines on January 15th. Number one deadline is for making your estimated tax payments. So if you have not already done so, I'll strongly urge you get that done right away, because if you don't make those estimated tax payments, you are going to run into some penalties. So that's number one on my list. If you don't know how to calculate those, then I have a video on the channel that can allow you to do some rough math. But ideally speaking, most states and even the IRS requires you to pay 90% of your tax liability by January 15th. Now, there are some safe harbor rules and all that, so I'm not going to go into all of those details, but you can watch those in the other video. But even if, if we talk about people from different states like California, states still require you to pay 90% of your tax liability. So it makes sense that you stick with that rule. Whatever your total tax liabilities are for 2024, you need to pay 90% of them by the January 15th. So that's one deadline. Second one, which is very critical, is medical deadline. So January 15th is often the deadline for making changes to your medical plan. So please talk to your HR. Maybe you have parents who needs to switch to a different medical plan or whatnot. Have them review their medical plan and take care of that right now. Third one, which a lot of people have been talking about, is the BOI report. So BOI report, the good news is right now we have an injunction on it. So you don't necessarily have to file it, but there are some conflicting information around it. People been kind of bouncing this left and right. So let me give you a little bit of a quick background on it. I have plenty of videos. You can go watch them. Why does this law exist? Why government is really pushing so hard? What are they trying to get out of it if you want to learn about that? But basically, in a simple term, BOI rule mandates that LLCs and corporations, whether you're an S corp or C corp, doesn't matter. Basically, as long as an entity that is registered with the state, they need to report ownership details to FinCEN. So those of you guys who have foreign accounts, you're probably already familiar with FinCEN, sister branch of IRS, which is responsible for doing criminal investigations. So basically, FinCEN is saying, look, we want to know if you have any kind of ownership stake in an S corp or C corp or LLC, especially if you own 25% or more, or you have a substantial control. So remember, sometimes you might not have necessarily the ownership in a company, but you might have a control. For example, maybe you're a CEO, maybe you're a CFO, maybe you're a CTO. If you have substantial control, even though you do not have an equity in the company, you could be held responsible for filing the BOI report. So what happened with it? Well, there are some conflicting information, right? Or at least the conflicting opinion about that particular law. A federal federal district court in the Texas ruled that BOI law is unconstitutional. It's just asking for too much information. But then the three-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit temporarily upheld the law, but was later overturned by another panel. So, like I said, like a ball, left and right. The conflicting ruling leaves the law status uncertain at this point. The case is now at the Supreme Court, where Justice Samuel has been tasked with deciding whether the court will hear the case or not. So we don't even know if Supreme Court will take that case, although the U.S. government is asking the Supreme Court to prioritize this and take care of it right away. But here's some important facts that you do want to know. The attorney generals from 25 states have argued that the BOI law infringes on state jurisdictions and should be struck down. More than likely, your state is already requiring you to file that information with the state anyway. And basically what federal government was trying to do is get all of that information into FinCEN. So now states are standing up and they say, wait a minute, you're kind of getting too much messy with our own jurisdiction. So that's the issue. On the other hand, the U.S. government, the federal government, obviously is saying that this is necessary for bringing transparency as well as dealing with the fraud in the United States. So for the time being, the arguments has been scheduled for March 2025. That means it's going to be a slow process. So a lot of people who've been saying that, look, you need to volunteer file it and whatnot. That is true. You can always give that information voluntarily on the FinCEN website even today. But I think the process is going to be slow. At least that's what it looks like from the facts that I'm seeing. Another critical update is the CPI report. So we got the recent CPI report. Let me share some information about that as well with you. So the most recent CPI report, and those of you guys not familiar with it, it's called Consumer Price Index. That is report is right now giving kind of like a mixed signal about the economy, which is, our market is already confused. Why? Because we have a change in presidency. New president will be taking over next week, and there will be different policies, talking about tariffs and immigration and all that kind of good stuff. So people are a little bit confused, and to add to the confusion, now we have the CPI report. So month to month CPI rose about 0.4%, which is a little bit above expectations, but the core CPI only increased 3.2, which is slightly below projection. The year over year CPI right now is sitting at, I think, 2.9%, which is less than 3%, which is showing that things are moving in the right direction. So you can see, you look at the numbers, kind of like, okay, where are we going? Are we really making a progress, or are we heading on the other directions? We don't know. On the other hand, the Fed have shifted from aggressive rate hikes, but that's what they were doing earlier, right? From 0% to over 5% just in a couple of years. Now they are in their cutting cycle, right? They're aiming for a neutral Fed rate cuts, maybe around 3% or something. So that's at least that's the mindset. Obviously, we had those two rate cuts, but we don't know when the other one's going to come, because the inflation is still sticky and job market is still strong. So what is the reason to do those rate cuts anyway? So anyhow, that's where we are right now. So the key decision on if we are going to make any more rate cuts are expected to be maybe around middle of the year, or maybe later half of the year. So in the first half of the year, we're going to be dealing with these ups and downs quite a bit. That's just normal when there is a lot of uncertainty. And obviously, whatever Trump going to do, I don't think the impact of that's going to happen right away either. That's going to take some time as well. So as far as I'm concerned, I think in the early part of 2025, rate cuts are unlikely at this point. Maybe around June, July, August, somewhere around that time, maybe we'll start to see more rate cuts. So obviously, when market is like that, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Oftentimes short-term market reactions are often exaggerated. On the other hand, long-term trends are more critical. For example, markets are going to go up and down, and that's why I've said again and again, for 2025, my strategy is to play a little bit safe. I'm half invested in safer kind of companies, and the other half I'm taking advantage of some opportunities, because I just don't know which way the market is going to go, honestly. And neither does anybody else. If somebody tells you otherwise, they're just making a guess. You can also make a guess. So it's kind of like throwing a dart kind of game. All of us can try to do that. So I would say take advantage of volatility whenever it presents a good opportunity for you. Sometimes I think market's going to drop by 5%, 10%, and that is normal. So don't be scared for that. Question is, are you prepared to take advantage of that? Right now is the time to think about the companies, think about the assets class, think about things that you would like to do if you were able to buy them at a discounted price. And if you're not really good at keeping track of a market, then the famous trick in the book is dollar cost averaging. That always works. Again and again, I've seen financial pundits talk about it, but it takes a long time to get hold of your emotions and really believe in this strategy. But once you do, it works like magic. You don't have to think about it. All you have to do is figure out what are the good companies, what are the good asset classes you want to own, and then you'd simply dollar cost average into them. So as far as I'm concerned, what am I looking at for 2025? Well, I think inflation is going to be stable. I don't know if you're really going to get it to 2%. That looks highly unlikely. Maybe we will set a new norms. Maybe we will, settle like 2.5 or 3% or something like that. But either way, I think as US consumers, we are going to come to terms with inflation, whether it's 2% or 3%, one way or the other. GDP is still growing, so I don't see our economy slowing down anytime soon. And then on top of that, we have a pro-business administration, so we're going to have a lot of tailwind from Trump as well. So all of those are the reasons why I still believe that market is strong. In addition to that, we've been talking about it for the last couple of years now. AI revolution is real. We are going to start to see some great earnings increases because of AI. This is way different than the internet boom. This time it's real. Like any small company, you can take a chat GPT and build a product for somebody else that is way more helpful than chat GPT itself, because it's very focused on that particular customer and charge him a little bit more than chat GPT. So there are plenty of opportunities for companies to make money. I'm starting to use some of that in my business, and I'm already seeing how effective that is. So it's just a matter of time before we are going to see some great results from AI. So like I said, those people who are comparing AI boom with internet bubble, I think they're a little bit off there. This is completely different market. It's going to present different opportunity than what internet bubble did. So I think overall, there are opportunities for long-term growth for all kind of companies, small caps, mid caps, large cap. But obviously, we do know that small caps usually benefit from rate cuts. So when that happens, there will be an opportunity for them. But for the time being, we can probably already see that people are still going to go for bigger companies like Amazon, Google, Meta, because these companies are printing cash and they have the data, they have the resources to execute on AI. They are the one who are going to improve their margins. They are the one who are going to introduce new products, and they are going to take advantage of this opportunity big time. Having that said, I will urge you again and again, and I've said that a few different times in our discussion calls online as well, is please make sure you pay attention to your portfolio. Make sure it's balanced. Make sure you have some growth in it. Make sure you have some stability in it, and maybe even take advantage of ETFs if you don't understand all this market, or even if you do understand and you just maybe believe in one or two growth companies for small investment, then maybe the rest of it should stick in some major ETF that is a little bit more stable, that you don't have to think too much about. So that's the way I'm doing it. In addition to that, I'm obviously keeping some cash reserve, or at least building up some cash reserve to take advantage of some strategic investments when the market downturns happen. We got some opportunity a couple of days ago. We talked about it. I was able to take advantage of that, and I want to do that, continue to do that over 2025. I'm not going to chasing the market hype. I don't chase it when market is going down or market is going up. I don't care about that. All I look at the fundamentals, and if the fundamentals make sense, the numbers make sense to me, I see the growth opportunity, that's when I go. I'm not after the lottery stocks. I have said it many, many times. So people play lottery stocks all the time. Sometimes they get lucky, but many times they lose money. I'm just not that good at it. So if you are, that's your taste, but that's not. I'm trying to do that. So once again, I talked quite a bit about that in our mindset training. You can go watch it. I put some short version of that earlier in the YouTube. So you're welcome to see that. But the basic thing is, make sure you have an investment plan for 2025. Make sure you figure out, are you going to do all cost average? You're going to take advantage of the dips. At what percentage of dips you're going to take advantage of? Like, have a plan. What are you trying to do in 2025? That will be so critical. Number two, be patient. Don't be too aggressive. Take your time. You don't need to make all the decisions today. There are going to be plenty of opportunities, and every time an opportunity presents itself, you just need to be ready to take advantage of that. Long-term gains often come from discipline and steady strategies. If you're making reckless decisions, quick decisions, you're going in and out of market too much, chances are you're going to lose money. But most importantly, stay informed and do not react to different kind of news or different kind of YouTube videos or other messages that you might be getting on on various kind of groups these days. I mean, all of us are kind of part of some groups, and somebody is talking about that. So I would say stick with your own plan, decide what you want to do with your own money, and stick with that plan. I think that's what's going to work for you, instead of listening to me or listening to somebody else. Having that said, I'm not here to give you an investment advice. As always, I'm a tax advisor, so I help people file their taxes. I help them save on taxes. So if you have a tax question, certainly reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help. Now, for 2024, we are obviously accepting new clients no matter where you are in the world. If you need to deal with your taxes, then certainly you can reach out to me via taxcodeadvisors.com, and I'll be happy to get your taxes filed. And if you have a high income, or you're worried about some big tax bill and you need to figure out some strategies how to reduce them, or maybe you're thinking about starting a business or figuring out how to structure it properly so that way it's most tax efficient in nature, then I am your guy. You can reach out to me at any time from taxcodeadvisors.com. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you do and you want to be updated about what's happening in the markets, what are some of the latest trends, what kind of things I am doing, then please do subscribe to the channel. I'll be happy to be transparent with you and share all the information in real time, or at least whenever I can. I shouldn't say real time. Sometimes I get busy with taxes and just don't get time to post the videos on a regular basis, but I try my best. All right. But you can always book a 15-minute discovery call with me. So if you're confused about something, you want to get my take on something, just book a 15-minute discovery call, and let's jump on a call, and then let's establish that relationship and get to know each other, and let's work together for over a long period of time. Thank you so much for spending your last 15 minutes with me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.